Alright, what is going on, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, people of all ages? This is your boy Brent Bryson here, giving you guys my updated sensitivity settings video. And if you guys like this video, hit the like button, subscribe if you're new around here. I know it's free to play now, so there's a lot of people out here that are new to the game and everything, and need help with their sensitivity. So use this as a baseline, or use it as a guide, but then don't use it as like, you know, like the holy grail, quote unquote, that is going to make you a better player. This is what the sensitivity helps with me, but without further ado, I'm going to go in depth with everything, but if you guys just want to see what it is, here it is. Custom preset is actually type B, by the way, and then I'm just going to scroll it down. Almost there. You guys could pause if you guys want to, but then after this I am going to go in depth by what I have and everything like that. Especially if you guys want to know about my key binding and everything, wait until the end of the video and stuff. And then yeah, so without further ado, let's get right into the full in-depth version of my sensitivity settings. Alright, so let's get right into it. My controller button preset is at custom, but again, this is actually essentially type B. I'll show you what that looks like, and you guys can copy it, or like, you know, directly if you do decide to do custom. There is only a little bit that I changed besides what type B you know, gives you. But essentially what type B does is you hold down the left trigger in order to aim down sight instead of tapping it like type A. I never messed with type C, so I have no idea. My invert X and Y axis is disabled. It always has been. I don't like, you know, having the opposite. If I look up, I want to look up pretty much. My right stick deadzone is at 10 and my left stick deadzone is at 8. Now for your stick deadzone you know, input, the lower it is, the more sensitive your right and left analog stick is. Now, since I use a control freak, I don't have any, you know, I don't have any stick drift on my right stick for my analog stick or for my Elite Series 2 controller. But with that being said, I do have a control freak, and that control freak is somewhat heavy, so then when I do like tilt it a little bit, it does go to the side. So that's my right stick deadzone is at 10. Essentially what you want to do is you want to make sure that your character is not moving on its own, because you know, you want it as low as possible without having stick drift, pretty much. For me personally, I like that more, you know, sturdy stick tension. So then my right analog stick is actually at the highest stick tension, and then my right stick deadzone is at 10, which is baseline, or which is the basic. And it just works well with me. When I put it down, when I tried putting it down to, you know, lower it, it wasn't, you know, I felt not as precise in my aim and everything. Again, I do like my vibration enabled, and at 10 it makes me feel like I'm more immersed in the game. A lot of people doesn't like playing with vibration because they feel like it messes up their aim and everything, but for me, I actually like having the vibration on. My forward running sensitivity is at 40. What this does is adjusts the sensitivity of running forward using your left stick. The higher the sensitivity value, the easier it is to run forward. Now what that means is, you know, the faster it takes you to, you know, sprint after, like, you know, running or walking or crouching or, you know, getting up from prone position. I have mine at 40, never really changed it ever since. So you know, I don't necessarily see the difference between 40 and 50. My movement sensitivity is at a 100. Now what the movement sensitivity does is it adjusts your sensitivity of the character movement with your left stick. The higher sensitivity value will cause the character to run rather than walk at a lower stick input. So I did switch it around a little bit. Forward running sensitivity is running forward, but then movement sensitivity is how your character will run rather than walk. I have mine all the way to 100 because I don't necessarily sit, you know, I don't necessarily sit in one spot all that much, and I do like to rush, and I want to be like running as fast as possible. It just makes my character feel like it's you know, quicker than others that doesn't have it at 100. But again, the movement sensitivity, I suggest just putting it 100. Now the meat and potatoes of this whole sensitivity is my vertical sensitivity multiplier. Now I gotta say one thing. Before, a few years ago, I always abided by a low vertical sensitivity multiplier, and that's because I had higher speed for my aim down sight for my scopes. But then essentially the higher the value for the vertical multiplier sensitivity, the less you have to pull down on your right stick to control recoil. Now a lot of people like it at 150 because it essentially is like quote unquote anti-recoil, where you don't have to really pull down the right stick. A lot of people put it at 110, 105. I used to have it at 110 at one point, and then 105, which did help out with my recoil control and everything. But then I did opted to just have it at the baseline of 100. Now for my theory, this is just my theory here, you don't have to listen to me when this happens, but then for a guy that's been playing this game for 4+ years, and for a guy that has been in the both spectrums of low sensitivity and high sensitivity, what I can concur is if you have a higher vertical sensitivity multiplier, that means you have a lower aim down sight for your scopes. If you have a higher aim down sight for your scopes, the lower your vertical sensitivity multiplier will help you with controlling your recoil. For the longest time, I used to play in 17, 15, even 20 at one point, and then I had my vertical sensitivity multiplier to 58. That's because with the high speed scope, aiming down sight scopes for your sensitivity, I felt that the slightest pull down will pull down your weapon all the way down. Now with a lower sensitivity, you want a higher vertical sensitivity multiplier, because you could have room space for pulling down your analog stick while still having that precise movement of having a low sensitivity for your scopes. Does that make sense? If it does, if it doesn't make sense and you are confused about what I said, leave it down in the comment section below. I'll try to type it out and everything to explain it to you. My general sensitivity is at a 15. Now I always abided by a higher sensitivity for your general, because you want to look around and everything like that. I used to play 20. I did play 20 for ever since 20 was an option to play for PUBG. But then recently I felt like my hip spray and everything has been very inaccurate. I used to overshoot my hip spray. Now beforehand, PUBG used to be a TPP mainly based game for console. So then a lot of hip spraying happens. But even though playing FPP and everything, I find myself still hip spraying. I feel like a hip spraying for PUBG is a very important mechanic to learn, because it's one of the easiest ways to win a one-on-one gunfight from up close. And I feel like I've been over aiming myself every time I had my general sensitivity at 20. 15 is still considered a high sensitivity for your general sensitivity, so I'm still abiding by that rule of having a higher sensitivity rather than a lower sensitivity, because you still want to turn on that person if they're shooting you from behind. 15 just makes me feel more precise in moving around, especially when I am in FPP now. My vehicle driver sensitivity is at 8. When I'm driving in FPP or in TPP, I need to be as controlled as possible. So having a lower sensitivity for driving helps me out with that, especially because I'm not the best driver. When I do drive, I do need to be more precise in looking around, and 8 feels like it's slow enough for me to control the wheel. I have no idea why, but that's just how I feel. My aim acceleration is disabled. I used to have it enabled before, but this time around, even though I have a low sensitivity for my scopes, I feel like I need one constant movement for my scopes instead of having it gradually increase, because that's what the aim acceleration does. Aim acceleration is only activated when the stick input is higher than 50%, and the aim acceleration rate is what the level of how fast it will move. Again, I like a constant speed instead of having it rapidly get faster, so aim acceleration is disabled for me. Over the shoulder aiming sensitivity is at 15 as well. I feel like the best rule of thumb is to have your over the shoulder aiming sensitivity the same as your general sensitivity, so then when you are transitioning from the over the shoulder aim to general sensitivity aim, there really isn't a big difference in between the speed. Since I'm already used to the 15 general sensitivity for hip spraying, what more for an accurate over the shoulder aiming sensitivity as 15 as well. My inventory cursor sensitivity, that's when you're using your analog stick when you're in your inventory. I never use this, but it's at 10. But again, I never use this because I always use my right bumper, my left trigger, and everything like that, and my D-pad. Now going into the other part of the meat and potatoes is my optic sensitivities. So my 1X optic sensitivity is still at 6. It is the slowest out of the bunch, but then that's because I want to be more precise when it comes to my red dot. I feel like when I use a red dot or a hollow and I have a higher sensitivity now, I over aim way too much, and I don't want to do that anymore. I feel like 6, I slightly under aim, so even 6.5 might help me out a little bit, but I never intended to change it because I'm so used to it already. And so with my 1X optic sensitivity, it is the slowest, but I feel the most precise when I have it at the 1X. My 2X is at 8, my 3X is at 10, my 4X is at 8, my 6X is at 7, and my 8X is at 6. My 6 and 8 is a little bit lower than my 2, 3, and 4 because those are my sniping scopes, and I want to be as precise as well when I snipe with my 6X or 8X. I almost rarely pull back the 6X now or the 8X for my DMRs. So yeah, I just like it at that speed. These aim ADS sensitivity is what suits me because this is what I'm most precise with. I could control the recoil with a higher sensitivity, I could control the recoil with a lower sensitivity, but being the most precise in aiming down your sight, I am the worst when it comes to higher sensitivity now for some reason. So I do play on a lower sensitivity for everything now. People always ask me like, how do you shoot people out of cars and everything? Like, if you do see my montages, I do shoot people out of cars. For a lower sensitivity, you literally just have to shoot over them. You have to predict where they're going, and you just have to shoot in front of them and hope your bullets hit, or hope your bullets hit when they come through you. If a car is coming directly next to me, I cannot keep up with them with my optic scopes. That's why a lot of people like using aim acceleration for that sense as well. But I just got used to shooting over, where the car might be going to. If not, then I'll just over the shoulder sensitivity aim to try to shoot them out. Another quick thing that people always ask me is, how do you play in such a slow sensitivity and keep up with your track your enemies that's in front of you? Well, what I do is I center my crosshair to them first before aiming down sight. Again, like I said before, having a lower sensitivity makes you more precise, but a higher sensitivity makes you snap better on the opponent or your enemy if you are more familiar with a higher sensitivity. If it does look more flashy snapping, but then I feel like I'm more inaccurate. I do feel snapping on the enemy is not as important as being as precise when you're already over, aiming on top of the enemy. My 15x scope is at 20. Nobody else uses it. It's very slow. I'm pretty sure this is how it's supposed to be for the 15x. If you pull it back, then it does get faster. But again, the 15x is very rare and not a lot of people use it. So I just keep it at 20. My gameplay language is English. My colorblind mode is Protanopia because I do like seeing blue blood. My crosshair color is red because I feel like red, it sticks out the best when you're in the map, and red is my favorite color as well. My reticle sight is custom. I have the cross for my red dot. Everything else is my brightness for my reticles is, my red dot is at 100%. My hollows at 50. My 2x is at 30. My 3x is at 25, and my candid is at 100. I do have the full auto or burst for default for my firing mode for my assault rifles and my SMGs, because when I pick it up, I want to make sure when I reload I'm not in single fire mode. So there's going to be a screenshot right now on how it looks like right now for my default firing mode for SMGs, ARs, handguns, and all that for my DMRs as well. when I do play TPP, I do like to have my aim camera position at the as to right reset shoulder, because if you guys didn't watch my ultimate tips and tricks video, leaning right reveals less of your body than leaning left. And so there is this cheeky thing where you could, like, you know, over the shoulder aim to the right, make sure your crosshairs at your opponent, and then aim down sight, so it could be like a headshot for your sniper rifles. And you know, this was resetting to the right shoulder was always the case when PUBG first came out, so I'm not used to any of the other options. Again, my auto reload is enabled because when I do pick up a gun, I just hit my right trigger to fire and it will automatically reload my gun. For my audio, of course, I have the weapon sound effects to Legacy. That's the OG sounds for the M4, M249, K9, and SKS. I don't necessarily like the remastered sounds. And of course, my safe area graphics is at 100. My field of view when I do play FPP is at 98. You know, it's not too close to my face where I'm hitting walls, but it's not too far away for, you know, me to spot enemies. I feel like 98 is just my sweet spot. My brightness is at 100 for all of my maps, because with my monitor makes everything seem very, very dark. And so I do have to have my brightness to 100. Now that I have that, talking about that, let's talk about my controller preset bindings. So this is a screenshot of my custom controller preset for my, you know, how my controller looks like. Take a screenshot, you could pause it if you need to, but then I know everybody else is here for my combination button preset. Recently I've started using my combination button presets for my controller, and I gotta tell you guys right now, that is a big game changer. So let me go ahead and go that right now. In order to get to the controller button preset combinations, you just have to click your right stick, and then you'll have this, you know, action wheel. I only use the left bumper and, like, you know, the X, Y, X, B, A, you know, up, down, left, right. I don't use the LB because if you guys don't know, I do have a Series 2 controller, Elite Series 2 controller, so then my left paddle is the LB button and my right paddle is the A button. So that's why, looking at the screen right now, this is what I have for my button combination. LB and down is to go straight to the driver's seat right after, right when I do a drive-by. It's quicker than holding A, is way quicker than holding A, especially if somebody is, like, you know, if you're riding with your squad and the driver gets hit down, pressing just a quick press of LB and down will make you go directly to the driver's seat. And now LB and A is the next one that I feel is most important, and that's the two paddles in the back of my controller. That is for me to equip a smoke. So no matter what is on my hotbar, I just press LB and A, and then my smoke is directly, like, automatically in my hand. That split second is to help me, like, throw the smoke quicker than somebody else, or throw it to my teammate if they go down right away. And then I have LB and up for a grenade, LB and right for using energy drinks, LB and left for equipping a Molotov, LB and Y to use a painkiller, LB and X to use the first aid, and then LB and B to use bandages. Now the one that I least use is the bandage one, because normally I use bandages when I'm in the car, and for some reason every time I press LB and B I do use a bandage, but once in a while I get out of the car, because the B button is to get out of the car, and that's what kills me. So then the bandage one is the one I use least, but I still use it nonetheless. Again, take a screenshot at this. I feel like it's important to get used to using key bindings like this, or for the combination for the buttons, because that split second of going to your inventory and then using a first aid, or going to the inventory and then scrolling down for your smoke or your frag, is less efficient than just pressing two buttons and then is doing it right away. But yeah, that is my updated sensitivity controller for PUBG for 2022. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys do, hit that like button, subscribe if you're new around here. Again, any questions at all whatsoever, I am happy to answer it. Just comment it down in the comment section below. Again, this is your boy Brent Bryson. Stay beautiful. Goodbye for now.
Yay!